Welcome to another episode of Eberhart Outdoors. I honestly can't believe I'm doing this because it's November 11th. It's like 45 degrees, a light breeze, perfect hunting weather. And I'm not hunting. I'm here doing a video. Kind of bummed out because I got one buck this year and I've got a lot of cameras out and I don't have another buck now on camera. I had a buck on camera that I would shoot, and I just got a picture of it 2 days ago, and his right main beam is broken right by the brow tine. So he's off the books now too. So I'm looking for a place to go. I actually talked to my son Joe. I think I'm going to go to a spot down by him tomorrow. It's a piece of public that he has not hunted yet. He's had a spot prepped and he hasn't hunted it. He's been working all the time. But anyway, this video is on gear. So Ameristep used to make something called a step starter, and they quit making that quite a few years ago, probably a dozen years ago. I know the reason, but I'm not going to tell it because it's not that important. But it used to retail, I think they were $39.99, and again, that was 12 to 15 years ago. And I have a friend who was a tool and die maker, and he actually makes the same step starter. His is actually better than the Ameristep one was, and I'm going to show it. This is it right here. So what you've got is you have a little slot here up at the top. There's a slot. The step goes in here. This is for rod steps only. 1/2 inch or 3/8 inch, the common rod steps. And then this is threaded, and then it's got a handle here. And what this does, even if you've got the Ameristep steps, which are, in my opinion, the worst rod steps made, they're the hardest ones to screw in because they got paint on the threads, so they don't go in very easy. But no matter what kind of step you use, I'm going to show you how this works. Now this here is a 3/8 diameter rod step. You just slide the step portion in there, and then the top of it goes in that little slot, and then you just tighten this down till it tightens it down. And basically what this does is it kind of gives you a hammer effect, and then it just gives you a lot of leverage. So this is something you would use in the spring when you're scouting and prepping locations for fall, but you're prepping them on private land. Obviously you can't use this on public. Now this one here is a Cranford. This is a 1/2 inch rod step. So the step goes in this hole. The top goes into that slot at the top. And you just tighten it down. Same gig. Kind of figure out where you want it. Once you get it in place, just pull that out, and now you got steps. Saves you a lot of time and a lot of muscle power, because putting these steps in on your own without the aid of this is a lot more difficult. To take them out, you just do the reverse. This one's the 3/8. So, that's it. It's a step starter. He's selling them for $45, and that includes freight. So if anybody wants one of these, and this is actually better than the Ameristep, it's got a handle, very well made, just give him a call, and I'm going to give you his phone number. And again, this is for rod steps only. This does not work on folding steps. That's his number. Kerry Doberstein, $45 for those step starters. Nobody else makes them anymore. So if you want one, this is about the only place you can get one. And if you're using rod steps, I suggest you get one. If you're using anything else, you don't need it. Gary, I got him into using scent lock, so he hasn't paid attention to wind in probably the last 8 years, 7 or 8 years. and I also got him into using a saddle, and he has become a serious threat now. So last year he shot 130 some incher, and it's the first one he's taken off ever. That's the biggest buck he's ever shot with a bow in his life. But now he is no longer a deer deflector. He is a serious threat to killing the biggest bucks on the property, which I don't like that a lot, but that's the way it is. And now I'm going to get into something a little bit different. Now, this is something you can't sell in a store. You wouldn't be able to have liability insurance on it. Anything that has liability insurance where you're climbing off the ground, you're going to have multiple safety features on it. So this one here just has a strap around the tree attached to a belt, kind of like your lineman rope on your saddle. This is a pre-prep deal. This is not a public land deal. This is strictly private land for pre-prepping with tools and spikes or screw-in steps or rod steps or folding steps, whatever. You could even put sticks up with it if you wanted, but if you're going to hang up sticks, you might as well just use your saddle with your lineman rope. This is something to have two hands free, and it has pouches so you can carry things in it. I'm not recommending this. I'm just showing you what I have done and what I have used. You can buy these anywhere. You can buy them at Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, most hardware stores. They're 2 tool pouches. I actually my own belt. So this has my own belt, and then I had 2 D-rings sewn in. And these are serving basically the same as your lineman loops would be on your saddle when you're using your lineman rope. This here just has a quick adjust belt. Very heavy duty. This is an old trophy line belt, actually. I took this off of a trophy line saddle from 20-some years ago, and so I made a belt out of it. And then on this D-ring here on the right-hand side, I have a 1/2-inch diameter rope, and I have a Ropeman, which you can get from Tethered. Got a Ropeman and a carabiner, which you can also get from Tethered. I have a hammer holder sewn in on the side because I use a hatchet for scraping bark and tapping in spikes if I drill spike holes and then put spikes in. And then I also had Noah, the same guy that did this in all my modifications, I had him sew this piece of black leather on the front here because I carry a saw. I carry a camp saw, which is a long bladed saw, and when I pull it out and pull back in, it scrapes on the edge of this, and it was wearing through the fabric, so I had him put a piece of leather on here so it wouldn't wear through. So I usually keep the rope inside one of the pouches when I'm storing this. When I get to the tree, it's really simple. Keep the belt fastened all the time. Step into this, pull it up above my waist. Usually I'm wearing some sort of hunting clothes, not dress clothes. And then I just snug this up. Okay, so now I've got my 2 pouches. Got the rope right here. And then I'll put whatever I need in the pouches. These are spikes. So if I'm going to use a drill, I'll load it up with spikes. Because I'm going to drill 3/8-inch holes and then tap these spikes into it. And the spikes fit right in there. 10-inch spikes fit in this. They're 10-inch long pouches. And then these here, this here's just a piece of conduit. So my steps, my screw-in steps, which are Cranford, the conduit fits right over it. So once I get it started, I can just turn it real easy. Doesn't take a whole lot of energy to screw them in. Same with the single fold. Whether it's the single fold, the double fold, or the T-step, they all work the same way. And then this here is for screwing in T's. A lot of times I'll carry a T. I have a special way of hooking up as opposed to on some trees that are bigger diameter. I don't use a tree tether. I use something different, screw in T's, and that's what this is for. This goes over the 3/8-inch T handle, so I can spin that around and screw that in. And the pouches also have little small pouches up at the top, and that's what I'll put bow holders in on one side, and I'll put a bow rope in on the other pouch the other small pouch on the other side. Because usually if I'm pre-prepping a tree, I'm private, I put a rope in it and let it dangle down and wrap it around a step at the bottom. So it's always there. I don't have to carry a rope with me. And then the spikes that I use are 3/8 diameter, so I buy an Irwin, IRWIN speed bore bit, and that's what I use to drill the holes for the spikes. And the hatchet slides right into that hammer pouch. So it's pretty simple. That's a speed bore bit. It's got threads at the end. So once you get it started, it self-taps, just to give you an idea. Putting no pressure on that whatsoever. Going in totally on its own. And you pull it out. And you take it and you tap it in. Now I'm not going to tap it in, obviously, because I don't. Once you tap these in, they're there forever. Now as far as the drill's just this one here is a 20 volt DeWalt, and I actually put a strap on it. And I usually put that around me like that. You gotta always watch to make sure which way this drill bit's facing so it doesn't poke you. I also like to wear saws. Then I usually put the saw right between the D-ring or the pouch on the right-hand side, because I am right-handed. And this is a spinning sling, so these things here spin. And I usually, as I'm going up the tree, I put it over my shoulder like that. And it's handy. I can use it, or if I have to take it off, I can use it either-handed. There's other companies that used to make these cam locks. This here is a Eastman Outdoors. This is probably 30 years old at least. But it works off the same principle. It's a cam lock. And I've been using these for years. I've probably got half a dozen of these, because I've been using these forever. It's a little bit different than a Ropeman. It's not as technically advanced as a Ropeman, but it works in the same exact function. And this was what I used. This one here I've hardly ever used. Obviously, it looks brand new, but it's 35, 40 years old. And this just has a single D-ring on it. And this is a belt that goes around your waist, and this goes around the tree. Hooks to the D-ring. And you adjust it just like you do a Ropeman. But this one here, with the Ropeman's much, much nicer. So the way this works, cool thing about this also is you can do big diameter trees. A lot of times if you're using a saddle with your lineman rope, the rope's too small for big diameter trees. Now this tree here, I think you'd probably be able to get a lineman rope. Anything much bigger than this, you wouldn't. So I use a lot longer rope than my lineman rope on a saddle. This is considerably longer, probably 18 inches longer. Just wraps around. Carabiner hooks to the D-ring on the other side, and then you can prep the tree and have both hands free as you're going up the tree. Just like anything else, you adjust it as needed with the Ropeman. This Ropeman's just a bad item, man. Tethered sells them. They're a little pricey, but they're worth every penny of it. I think they're $50, $60, but they're worth every cent. You should have one on your tree tether, and you should also have one on your lineman rope in place of the Prusik knot, because they work way, way better than a Prusik knot. And it's also important, as far as I'm concerned, to get a good half-inch rope. It's got to be a half-inch nylon, and you want it full nylon. This pink rope, it's pink all the way through. This black and white rope, it's black all the way through. It's nylon 100% all the way through. And this white rope is the same way. Now I've melted that end, but as you can see, that was nylon all the way through. Now this camo rope, that's got a poly core. Anytime you have a poly core wrapped in nylon, it's not as strong, and it will not last as long. As soon as you cut through the top surface of this, that poly just kind of unfrays. Whereas the nylon, you can actually, when you're doing this and you've done it for years, I've replaced this rope probably 10 times on this pouch. Because when a lot of times when I'm cutting stuff and I got my rope around the tree, the saw accidentally will slide through the branch that I cut and it'll nick the nylon rope. It'll nick the nylon rope. Because these blades are so damn aggressive, it puts little nicks in them. So every so often, you know, the rope gets a little frayed and I just replace it. But this thing here for people, these pouches, for people that want to have something where you can carry your steps in it, you can carry spikes, you can carry your drill in it, you can carry a hammer, you can carry a hatchet. And I typically will use this hatchet a lot of times on rough bark trees. You know, I'll scrape the bark off. Now this tree here is not rough bark, so it's not doing anything really. But if you get a rough bark tree that's flaky, you know, I'll actually scrape around where I'm going to put a step before I put the step in or screw in the spike, because I don't want my foot to be making noise as I'm going up or coming down the tree. I want it to be, everything to be quiet. And when I'm putting my ring of steps on at the top, I do the same exact thing. If I want to move around my steps to keep the tree as a buffer to get a shot on the opposite side of the tree, I usually don't look at my steps. I got them gapped all the same. I know how they work, and I'll just move around the tree. And I don't want my boot scraping a piece of bark at crunch time and making a noise and spooking something. So when you're prepping something, you want to make sure you get all the rough bark off so you're not going to mess anything up. Even when you're doing your tree tether, you know, when you do your tree tether, if you're in a rough bark tree, that little area right below your tree tether, if you're going to move around the tree, that rope's going to slide against the tree one direction or the other, whichever way you go. And you want to make sure that there's not going to be any bark there that's going to pop off or make a noise while you're moving around. So it's really important to get all that rough bark off there. You don't have to really use a hatchet. You can just use your saw to just kind of scrape the loose bark off around the edges. But having everything quiet's a big deal. Right now it's dead quiet out. There's no wind. So you know, if I were hunting right now and I had a buck within 15-20 yards and he was standing and I had to move around on a step or something, and there was a little piece of bark that made a tick noise, it broke off. Where I hunt, that's over. That hunt's done. That deer is gone. This isn't fantasy land like you see on TV. This is real hunting. Again, you can carry steps in it. You can carry your screw-in bow holders. You can carry a handsaw in there if you don't want to carry a sheath saw when you're going up the tree. You know, this can be a pain sometimes, but I like it because it's got such a big, long blade. I can make some big cuts with one pull. If you just want to use a little handsaw, put it in one of the pockets. So you got pockets for everything. Conduit, drill bits, spikes, screw-in steps, bow holders, ropes, whatever you're going to need. You got pouches for it. You know, saddles are fine for hanging sticks. You have to when you have to put in a lot of stuff, you need pouches to carry some equipment. And the saddles just don't do that. And you don't need a saddle when you're pre-prepping anyway. Here's a modified ESS. So I can just step into this. Pull the two panels up above my waist. Pull on the tag end. Now it's tight. Take my lineman rope. Hook lineman rope up to the other lineman loop on the other side and go up the tree. So this is, you know, if I'm going in and doing on public land and putting up sticks, this is what I use. I use my ESS, obviously. I don't need pouches because there's nothing that I can screw in or spikes or anything like that that I can use on public land. So I'm carrying sticks, and I just put sticks up as I go. And with the lineman rope, I've got 2 hands free for doing that. And Noah also, the Amish guy, he also modifies ESS, my ESSs, and gets rid of some stuff, adds some stuff to the stock ESS. And hands down, that ESS modified, there isn't anything that can touch that. That's the best saddle out there, period. There's nothing even remotely close. And I've been hunting out of a saddle longer than anybody. So I'm going to give you Noah's phone number again, but his phone number's on both of the Amish videos that I posted, and I posted those a while back. So if you want something that's super cool for prepping locations on private land, give Noah a call. He'll be able to make you one of these and mail it to you. I don't know what the cost will be. He'll put a belt on it. He'll have an adjustment buckle on it for you with the D-rings. All you'll have to do, in fact, he even has the rope. If you want him to put the rope on it, he can do that as well. He does not have the Ropemans. You'll have to order your own Ropemans. But yeah, other than that, he can do all of this. And I'm going to tell you what, I've been prepping trees for 50 years. And this, I made my first one of these probably 35 years ago, and I've been using them ever since. And when you're putting in anything where you're using tools and steps and spikes and drills and bow holders and ropes, you can carry everything in these and just pull it out as you need it as you're going up the tree. It makes it really, really simple. And nobody else offers anything like this. And again, there will be no liability insurance on this, so you can't really fall once you're strapped to the tree. It's possible that you may want to get a second rope. That way, if you're going up the tree and you need to bypass a branch, you could take your carabiner, hook it to one of the D-rings, go around above the branch, hook it to the other D-ring, and then disattach the one that's on here permanently, and then keep going up the tree. And then if you have to bypass another branch, hook up the original one and then take off the lineman rope. So that's the safe way of bypassing a branch. So I definitely suggest having 2 ropes, a spare rope, probably that 8mm one that Tethered offers would be perfect because it won't take up much space in your pouches. Basically, it'd be a lineman. And you just may want to get 2 linemen ropes. You know, that would work on this just as well, where you don't even have to buy the rope or anything. You can just use it the way they come. And concerning a hatchet, this is an Estwing, E-S-T-W-I-N-G. I love this hatchet. This hatchet has prepped a lot of trees. And it has a hammer on one side, hatchet on the other for bark. A lot of times when I'm doing bark, I just do it like this. So I'm not using the full hatchet, just sliding it down. This is the Amish gentleman that does all of the modifications. He can do modifications to anything. He has all the gear to do it. His name is Noah Brenneman. He does modifications to my Eberhart signature saddle. If you send it to him, you will need to know the length of the bridge that you want. He also adds aiders to sticks, and he charges $15 per step. So if you got a single step, it's $15 on a stick. If you got a double, it's $30, and if you got a triple step aider, it's $45. And he also makes the location preparation pouch with the belt that I just showed on this video, and his number is 989-506-0721. Again, he has ropes, he has strapping, he has belt buckles, he has everything. So if you just call him and tell him what you want, he can make it for you. If interested, the links to many of the podcasts I've been on, or for information about my 2-day whitetail workshops that take place in March and April, please visit my website at deer-john.net. Thank you for watching another episode of Eberhart Outdoors, and to receive notifications for future videos, please subscribe.